The original Horrible Histories used to have songs that were so catchy they would stay in your memory.
Divorced, beheaded and died. Divorced, beheaded, survived.
Fast forward to modern Horrible Histories and you get songs so bad that you have to hear them to believe them.
Oh, I think I am first ever Chinese leader. Country has found itself a Tokiza.
What's happened to the original Horrible Histories? How did the modern show become so bad?
I, back in 48, started the NHS, and it's pretty great.
Let's find out. It's hard to overstate how loved Horrible Histories is for a certain generation of Brits. A children's sketch comedy show that ran on CBBC from 2009 and taught history through songs and gloriously gross facts. As one person said, British culture is randomly singing a Horrible Histories song and knowing someone will join in. Another wrote, the show is good. The divorced, beheaded, died is still how I remember the Queens. And this one hit close to home. Did anyone else's history teacher just put on Horrible Histories when they couldn't be bothered to teach a lesson that day? Hell yeah, now this was a rite of passage. Now, if you're an American, you probably didn't grow up with it. It barely aired in the States and it never had a proper US broadcast. But it's on Hulu now, it's on Amazon, and if you've spent any time on British internet, you've seen the songs. Of course, not everyone gets it. When it's mentioned on American forums, you'll still see people asking, isn't it similar to drunk history? No, it is not similar to drunk history. But the point is, those who find it tend to love it. One person even argued, I feel like if the USA had Horrible Histories, they'd be a little better at world geography and history. So, this isn't just a British story, stick with me. But something's changed. The original cast have all left. Yet still, surprisingly, the show has carried on. And what it's become, I don't think I can defend it anymore. It's not funny enough. The songs, they're not good enough.
Oh, still think I was the greatest Chinese leader.
Quick reminder to hit subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. Thank you. And even more importantly, it started getting its history wrong. I guess we better dive into the reasons behind the depressing downfall of Horrible Histories. Credit where credit is due. This video was inspired by Nevoist and his video Horrible Histories Downfall Needs to be Studied. Go watch it after this one. Reason 1. The 6 idiots left. To understand why Horrible Histories fell off, you need to understand what it was at its peak. Because at its peak, Horrible Histories was one of the smartest comedies on British television. Full stop. It started as a book series by Terry Deary in 1993, history with the nasty bits left in. Then in 2009, it became a TV show on CBBC, and producer Caroline Norris set the bar impossibly high. At the very first writers' meeting, she screened clips from Monty Python and Blackadder, two of the best British comedies in history. Her stated ambition was to make a show that people would say was too good for children, and these writers came from adult comedy, and the cast, 6 performers from the adult comedy circuit, who'd become known as the 6 Idiots, were adult sketch comedians from Peep Show, The Mighty Boosh, The Thick of It, and Gavin and Stacey, who just happened to be making a children's show. And the chemistry was the thing. One of the 6 Idiots, Martha Howe Douglas, said, we would hang out at lunchtimes, the boys would do little skits in their trailers. It was always a great friendship, and it had great chemistry, and I think we just got lucky. Lawrence Rickard, another of the 6 Idiots, said, the 6 of them became each other's audience and script editors. They wrote for each other's strengths and performed like a comedy troupe who'd been together for decades. And you could feel it through the screen. As one fan put it, the original cast all had amazing chemistry with each other, and you could see just how passionate they all were when they were acting. Another said, the original crew just works so damn well together. It's something that no matter how hard anyone tries, they can't match. You hear that, modern Horrible Histories? You can't match it. And unusually for a kid show, Horrible Histories was critically acclaimed. Stephen Kelly in The Guardian called it one of the smartest comedies on TV. Jesse Armstrong, the man who created Succession, wrote in The Guardian that his daughter watched it because the tone is sophisticated and it takes children seriously. It doesn't talk down to them. So it's no surprise then that the show won 4 consecutive BAFTAs. It also won the British Comedy Award for Best Sketch Show against adult programs. And it was the first children's show ever to do that. The show also managed to reach 50% of UK children aged 6 to 12, a staggering number, and I was one of those kids. I grew up watching this show, so yes, I can still sing the Monarch song from memory. I even used the show to help out my younger siblings. As an example, when my younger sister had a Tudor's test, I played her the Wives of Henry VIII song. She walked into that exam knowing more than half the class.
I'm Henry VIII, I had 6 sorry wives. Some might say I ruined their lives.
And when I was abroad teaching English as a foreign language, I'd stick Horrible Histories on at the end of the day. I had kids from all over the world in that classroom. Different backgrounds, different first languages, and yet they all laughed at the same jokes. Because OG Horrible Histories was like Mr. Bean. It was British, but it cut through boundaries. Smash that like button if you too grew up watching Horrible Histories. Then, in 2013, the worst thing you can imagine happened. The 6 idiots left. But it wasn't a falling out, as Hal Douglas explained. When we were coming to the end of Horrible Histories, we didn't want to stop working together. Another of the 6 idiots said that they were worried about typecasting, stating, "You can really get on one set of tracks, and before you know it, you turn around and no one will let you jump onto other trains." The 6 idiots therefore formed a company called Them There. They made Yonderland, they made the film Bill, and then Ghosts, which became the most watched comedy in Britain with 7.2 million viewers and 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yes, the 6 idiots took everything that made Horrible Histories brilliant and they poured it into new things. Good for them. But they left a gap that the show has never filled. So what happened next? Well, in 2015, the show came back for Series 6, but the 6 idiots were gone. In their place, a rotating cast of new actors and celebrity guest stars like Rowan Atkinson and Ben Miller. For the rest of this video, I'm going to call it Series 6 onwards Modern Horrible Histories, just to make things crystal clear. Anyway, the original show jumped around. Romans, Vikings, Tudors, Aztecs, all in one episode. You never knew what was coming. Series 6 switched to single ruler episodes. Series 7 onwards went single theme. Monstrous musicians, exceptional explorers. The variety that made the show addictive was gone. Beloved segments like Stupid Deaths and Bob Hale's Reports were axed or neutered. The replacements, Historical First Dates, Chatty Death, simply didn't land. And they gave Rattus guest hosts. Guest hosts for the puppet rat! Nobody asked for that. In the original series, the 6 idiots appeared in every episode and wrote for each other. Conversely, modern Horrible Histories rotated cast members between series. The celebrity guests in Series 6 brought some goodwill, but by Series 7 the gap was obvious. Let's be real, chemistry just isn't something you can fake. And the fans clocked it immediately. One said, "Can we just collectively agree that Horrible Histories ended in 2013? Another person wrote as a daily affirmation, "Horrible Histories ended with the Series 5 finale, nothing came after that, and it's remained the greatest children's comedy show of all time." Another comment absolutely nailed the difference between OG Horrible Histories and modern Horrible Histories. They said, "I think the difference is the older actors wrote the scripts, so it was their own humour, whereas the new actors are reading a script that's probably been written by a group of bored BBC executives." And it wasn't just on YouTube that people were angry. On IMDb, the first 5 seasons are exceptional. Some of the funniest British comedy sketches I've ever seen, and the original music is first rate. I rate seasons 1 to 5 as 10. Unfortunately, the subsequent seasons fall off a cliff. The sketches are drawn out and boring and the music is uninspired. On change.org, Rebecca Bentley started a petition titled "Get the original Horrible Histories cast back." She added, "The songs were always a banger, always original. Looking at the new ones, I cannot learn it since I'm not that interested in them." That last bit is key. The new cast fails as entertainment and as education because kids can't learn from material that doesn't engage them. And I felt it too. I couldn't use it anymore, not in the classroom. I'd happily stuck on an episode from the original run and watched kids from 5 different countries laugh together. But I wouldn't do that with modern Horrible Histories. It simply wasn't funny enough to hold their attention. Reason 2. The songs stopped being bangers. In the original show, the songs were the secret weapon. Charles II as Eminem, Charles Dickens as Morrissey, RAF pilots as Take That, that.
Lost both legs in an accident. These ones are not real.
And these weren't lazy parodies. Matthew Bainton delivered a pretty bang-on singing impersonation of Adam Ant, eyeliner and all.
The legend that surrounds me misses out the crucial part. I was a ruthless killer with a ruthless killer's heart.
The Blue Glasses blog said he threw himself into Dickens-Morrissey hybrid with attention to detail that screams fanboy. And here's the super damning bit. Every major Best Horrible History Songs ranking draws exclusively from series 1 to 5. Den of Geek, Screen Rant, Watch Mojo, the Royal Television Society, 0 Modern Horrible Histories songs. The Blue Glasses blog ranked all 60 original songs and stated up front, I'm ignoring the new stuff. Which, when we look at Modern Horrible Histories, is probably for the best. Indeed, Modern Horrible Histories gave us Norman Style, or Gangnam Style, Court Me Maybe, or Call Me Maybe, Get Sweaty, Daft Punk about Henry VIII sports. IMDb reviewers called that last one unwatchable, and I absolutely agree.
Though I look more like a man who plays dogs.
Norman Style is just Gangnam Style with funny hats. Honestly, it felt dated by the time it first came out.
This is Norman Style.
The show's own music producer, Matt Katz, admitted in a 2017 interview that the newer songs were slightly less satisfying because they'd shifted from genre pastiche to specific song parody. Conversely, the original Viking song could have been from any number of late 80s bands. When you parody a specific song, you're chained to it. When that track fades from memory, so does your song. Reason 3. The history isn't right anymore. And this is the one that honestly really gets me. Because if Horrible Histories isn't historically accurate, then what even is it? It's literally just a sketch show with costumes. Greg Jenner, the show's historical consultant during the original series of Horrible Histories, claimed only 8 errors made across more than 4,000 facts. Only 8 out of 4,000? Wow! The process was simple. Just get it right. And that's what made teachers trust it. That's what saved people's grades. The later series, on the other hand, have simply not maintained those standards. The Russian Revolution episode, Series 7, contains at least 14 documented inaccuracies in just half an hour of television. So let me rattle off some of these facts for you, because it's pretty damn bad. Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union is dated to August 1941. Operation Barbarossa actually launched on 22nd of June. Rasputin's death is placed after a 1917 scene, but he was actually killed in December 1916. Lenin is depicted speaking with a Russian accent when he actually learned English from Irish teachers and spoke with an Irish accent. The USSR is described as a Russian Union, erasing the multiple republics it comprised. Karl Marx is quoted as saying the USSR wouldn't work, despite dying in 1883, 4 decades before it existed. And last but not least, because I don't want to bore you with all 14, the Iron Curtain is shown running through Russia rather than across Central Europe. Seriously though, 14 errors in a single half hour on a show that literally exists to teach children history. The original series drew from Terry Deary's books, whose facts have been refined over decades. The revival tackled newer, more contested territory, and the fact-checking couldn't keep up. Being historically inaccurate hasn't stopped Horrible Histories from winning awards though, which is interesting. Indeed, I can already hear some of you typing. But what about the awards? Because on paper, Modern Horrible Histories doesn't look like a failure at all. Jesse Ransom won a Children's BAFTA. The Shakespeare Special won Best Comedy. The show even won an International Emmy. Greg Jenner never distinguished between the two eras, so in a way, the institution is still very much alive. And I hear that, but here's what I keep coming back to. The original show reached 50% of UK children aged 6 to 12. It was repackaged for primetime BBC One with Stephen Fry. It sold out the Royal Albert Hall. Modern Horrible Histories has simply not had the same cultural impact. Indeed, it's telling that no equivalent numbers have ever been released for Modern Horrible Histories. And if they were worth releasing, you would think they would say. Furthermore, Modern Horrible Histories never got a BBC One crossover. It never made adults stop what they were doing to watch a children's show. Meanwhile, Ghosts, made by the Six Idiots, of all people, drew 7.2 million viewers on BBC One. And here's the detail which says it all. When King Charles III acceded the throne, the production team simply tacked an animated Charles III onto the original cast's monarch song rather than re-recording it with the new cast. The Royal Television Society rightfully asked, "Is this an admission that no other cast could capture the magic?" Awards measure quality within a judging panel. They don't measure whether or not a show has soul, and the impact of modern horrible histories compared to the original is simply not even close. The End of Horrible Histories? Look, I grew up on this show. It shaped how I think about history. It gave me something I could hand to my sister before her test, and I knew it would help. Jim Howick said about the 6 idiots in a Den of Geek interview, "We are our most important project." And you can tell, you always could. Yet, I understand why the show continued without them. After all, Doctor Who regenerates, Blue Peter cycle presenters. Children's TV does this. A new generation deserved their own horrible histories. But I don't think they got one. A show making historical mistakes it never used to make. A show whose own organised fandom on X defines itself as covering series 1 to 5 specifically. Matthew Bainton admitted watching the revival was complicated. I watched a bit of one, which I found difficult to bring myself to do, but was really impressed with a lot of the new cast, but it is kind of painful for us. If the original cast find it painful, if the fans find it unwatchable, if the accuracy has slipped and the cultural impact has all but evaporated, who is this show even for anymore? Maybe the most important thing Horrible Histories ever taught us wasn't about kings or queens or wars. Maybe it was this. That when you get the right people in the right room at the right time, you can make something so good it rewires how an entire generation thinks. And that when those people leave, you can't just replace them. Sure, you can keep the name. Yes, you can keep the puppet rat. But the thing that made kids sing about monarchs in the playground and made a teenager's grades go from bottom marks to passing, that thing left in 2013. Should modern horrible histories be cancelled? Despite what it says in the title of this video, I genuinely don't know. What I do know is I wouldn't show it to my sister the night before a test. I wouldn't put it on at the end of a school day. And that's a sentence I never thought I'd say. Let me know in the comments. Should modern horrible histories be cancelled, or does it deserve another chance? I want to hear what you think, so let me know in that comment section below. Thank you so much for watching my video. Smash that like button if you made it to the end. I'll see you for the next one. Snipe, snap, out.